I'm very glad that you've got past the sort of despondency of those trolls, because how dare Conservatives have somewhere where they can find love and be happy, which it sort of seems to be why people would be upset about that. I'm so glad
Right.
you've got such the product that obviously stands for itself. We're going to have to jump to an ad break now, but everyone don't go anywhere. We will have more of the wonderful John McEntee after the break to talk to us about Project 2025. Welcome back to Kaleidoscope with Daisy Cousins. We are talking to the very excellent John McEntee. Now, John, I mentioned in my introduction that you were part of an initiative called Project 2025. Tell us all about it. What is it? Who's involved? What do you hope to achieve?
Yes, I'm an advisor on this project. It's through the Heritage Foundation. Basically, it's looking ahead to if Donald Trump wins, if a conservative gets in the White House, what happens then? In the first term of the administration, I worked there, and we won, but we were an insurgent candidacy. We didn't have a DC network. The Trump team was pretty small, so they relied on DC a lot. They relied on establishment Republicans, and sometimes that was okay, but a lot of times it backfired. So what we're doing is just providing the Trump team with basically a database of people that are willing to work, that want to work, that are trained on how to be effective in government, to give him, a term of loyal, competent people that can be effective to see the agenda through. At the end of the day, it's the Trump campaign and President Trump himself who will decide on all these positions. But what we want to do is just have a lot of people ready, have the training done, have some idea of how this will work, because it's too important and we need a little bit of a head start on it.
Well, I totally agree. I mean, the amount of hostility that Donald Trump is facing, not just in the media, but with Democratic lawfare. I mean, I don't think any president's ever been put this much on the back foot. And, you mentioned loyalty, for instance, finding people who are loyal. I'd imagine that's hard generally in politics, but particularly with Donald Trump, because there are so many people who want to usurp him. When you were working for him, did you find it challenging to hire and be around people who were genuinely loyal to him?
Well, I think it's more about just being aligned with the agenda. I think what he ran on in 2016 was very popular with the Republican base, but not with the Republican establishment. So when you're staffing, you just want to find people that are both aligned and competent enough to do the job. And that's what we were focused on when we took over the personnel office. I think a lot of the high level people that maybe had conflicting ideas on what we should do in the Trump administration, I think those have been well documented. I think for the most part, the problem is more than people not aligned is that they get captured sometimes. You work in government and then you defer to the career people there instead of, wanting to upset the apple cart. You just kind of go along, and we don't need people that go along. We need to, do things. We have a short amount of time. We have to get things done. And a lot of people, they get in the White House and then it's like, wow, I'm here, and you're just mesmerized and you're thinking about the Christmas party and the tours and the souvenirs and you forget about the job. So I think it's just finding people that are focused. I don't think it'll be too difficult to find that, especially since we started early and since we're looking throughout the country instead of just in Washington, D.C.
Well, I think certainly looking throughout the country would be key to finding the right people, because so many people around the country love Trump, in rural areas specifically. And I think maybe DC people, the establishment, forget actually that America exists beyond Washington, D.C. We've got a similar problem in Australia with politicians who don't think Australia extends beyond Canberra, which is our capital city. Now, I have a working theory about why people hate Donald Trump so much. And I mean, there are many reasons. I think now it's just become unhinged. I've thought from the get-go that maybe it's Donald Trump's anti-war stance that really ruffled feathers, certainly initially, because, politicians can make a lot of money out of war. Do you think maybe that more sort of pacifist stance contributes to the hatred?
That might be why some industry people don't like him. The war machine always wants to march on. Anyone that's going to stop the war machine, they do not like. I think most everyday Americans like him. I think he's kind of a symbol for a traditional America. This businessman that tells it like it is, that wants to put America first. I think that resonates with most ordinary people. I think the radical left will hate him for those reasons. because they're trying to do something different with their agenda. They don't like the America that Donald Trump grew up in, but I think that, anyone that wants to make a prosperous, free, America that works for the working man and the family, I think they should be championed. And I hope people see that and decide to reelect Donald Trump.